There's something happening right now that nobody seems to be talking about. The people who are deeply aware, emotionally mature, and spiritually awake are slipping out of view. They're not making a scene. They're quietly unplugging, leaving their jobs, logging off social media, moving out of big cities, walking away from relationships that don't feel real anymore. It's not because they're angry. It's because staying in the noise has become unbearable. Carl Jung called this the necessary withdrawal. He believed there comes a point when becoming too aware makes participating in a sleeping society feel physically painful, not just emotionally draining, somatically painful. The more conscious someone becomes, the more they feel it. It's not about being better than anyone. It's about needing to protect your peace. To stay in the world, they have to constantly shrink, translate, pretend, and after a while, the soul just can't do it anymore. They start asking themselves if they're antisocial, if they're giving up, but really, they're just becoming too real for a world built on performance. Society runs on shared illusions. We're all taught to play roles, to suppress, to agree to things we don't believe. Jung saw this. He knew that collective unconsciousness wasn't a glitch, it was the system. And when someone wakes up, really wakes up, it's like being a fully aware person in a room where everyone else is pretending to sleep. You see the games, the masks, the projections, and it's exhausting. That's why many just quietly step away, not to escape, but to survive. Every day in the system asks them to betray what they now know, to dim what they've uncovered, to silence a truth they can't unlearn. At some point, the psyche says no more. It's not weakness, it's clarity. Jung called it individuation, the path of becoming your real self. But that path doesn't fit in the roles society hands out. When someone integrates their own shadow, their flaws, their past, their capacity for darkness, they stop needing to blame others. And suddenly, all of society's finger-pointing starts to look like a game of denial. You see the projections everywhere. That side is evil. That group is the enemy. This person is to blame. It's like watching kids fight monsters under the bed that they put there themselves. You can't play along anymore. That's what Jung called the burden of seeing. You can't engage in the blame game when you understand it's just people throwing their own pain at each other. You can't join the outrage machine when you feel the emptiness behind it. And because you can't play those games anymore, you stop being able to show up in the same places. Online spaces become overwhelming. Crowds become noisy. Workplaces start to feel like theater. And what makes it worse? Once you've met your authentic self, going back to your persona feels like death. That mask you used to wear so easily now feels like it cuts into your skin. You try to make it work. Smile when expected, say the right thing, go through the motions, but inside you feel like you're disappearing. The real you can't breathe in those spaces anymore. People who used to be successful in the system quietly leave. They don't make grand announcements. They just can't keep faking it. They trade big salaries for small peace. They move somewhere quiet. They stop posting. They stop performing. And something beautiful happens. They come back to themselves. They begin creating again, not for applause, but from truth. Jung understood that this kind of withdrawal isn't weakness, it's necessary. It's the hermit phase, a sacred time when the soul goes inward to rebuild something deeper. It's not about isolation, it's about integration. You can't build something real in the middle of noise. You need quiet, you need space. You need to be able to hear your own voice without everyone else's opinions drowning it out. This phase isn't forever, but it is crucial. In this solitude, you start becoming whole. You face the parts of yourself society never made room for. You integrate. You heal. You remember. And eventually, if it feels right, you come back. But not to join the system. You return with something to offer. Not to play along, but to show another way. Some come back as teachers, writers, artists, healers. They don't chase the spotlight. They're not here to convince anyone. They speak to the few who are also waking up. They create spaces at the edges, quiet, honest, sacred places. Not everyone will find them, but those who are ready will. This isn't abandonment, it's preparation. Those who are disappearing are building what the rest will one day need. They're laying the groundwork, they're creating the maps, they're holding the light in quiet corners, not to be seen but to serve. Because when you've truly awakened, you know it's not about proving anything. It's about becoming who you really are, even if it means being alone for a while. So if you're feeling the pull to step away, know that you're not crazy, you're not broken, you're waking up, you're becoming conscious in a world that runs on unconsciousness. And the space you're craving, it's not escapism, it's sacred, it's necessary. It's the path home. Maybe you've noticed it too. The quiet ones, the sensitive ones, the people who used to care so deeply about everything, they're slipping through the cracks. You don't see them commenting as much, showing up like they used to, reacting the way they once did. It's not that they stopped caring. It's that caring in the old ways stopped making sense. They still feel everything, maybe more than ever, but they're tired of trying to fix a system that feeds on being broken. These aren't people who gave up. These are people who woke up. And once you see clearly, once your nervous system adjusts to reality without illusion, there's just no going back to the way things were. You can't pretend you don't know what you know. You can't fake connection where it doesn't exist. You can't unsee the roles everyone is playing just to feel accepted in a world that doesn't know how to hold what's real. And here's the strange part. The more you step away, the more people start calling you distant, disconnected. Some will even say you've changed. And they're right, you have changed, but not in the way they think. You're just done betraying yourself to keep others comfortable. You're done laughing when something isn't funny, agreeing when your body screams no, apologizing for wanting peace more than approval. You're not pulling away to punish anyone, you're pulling away to stay intact. In a world that rewards noise, stillness becomes rebellion. And solitude? That's the ultimate protest. Because when you stop reacting to everything, when you stop performing, you start healing. And healing doesn't make you louder. It makes you softer, steadier. Healing makes you private. You begin choosing your energy with care. You realize not everyone should have access to your presence. Not every situation deserves your reaction. Not every fight is yours to fight. This is what Jung was pointing to. The soul's instinct to retreat isn't cowardice. It's intelligence. It's wisdom. When you realize your nervous system isn't designed for constant chaos, when you feel your energy drain every time you walk into a room full of unspoken resentment, when your skin itches with the artificiality of small talk, that's not dysfunction. That's alignment waking up. You've probably tried to hold on, tried to keep one foot in each world, one in truth, one in performance, but that balancing act never lasts. Because the longer you walk this path of awakening, the more your soul demands full custody of your life, and the half-true things start to fall away. The almost right relationships, the half-loved jobs, the sort of okay places you used to go just to feel something, they all start to crack under the weight of your growing honesty. And here's something nobody tells you. There's grief in becoming real. There's grief in saying goodbye to your old self, your old life, your old world. Not because they were beautiful, but because they were familiar. And sometimes familiar feels safer than freedom. But freedom is what your soul came here for. Not applause, not approval, not acceptance in a system that doesn't see your wholeness. Freedom. So now your body leads. You find yourself choosing the quiet over the crowd, the stillness over the stimulation, deep conversation over constant noise, nature over nightlife, a walk under the moon over another scroll through a feed of strangers pretending everything's fine. You begin living in a rhythm that's not dictated by algorithms or expectations, but by your own breath, your own truth. And as you soften into this new way of being, you start noticing things you never saw before. The way trees seem to speak when nobody's around. the way your body relaxes in safe silence, the way your mind clears when you stop performing. You begin trusting your own pace, your own timing, your own knowing. And for the first time, maybe in years, you feel whole without needing anything from anyone. This is what Jung understood about individuation, that it's not just about becoming different, it's about becoming you, the you underneath the masks, the you before the roles, the you that's been waiting for permission that will never come from the world, because the world wants personas, but your soul wants truth. And the truth is, you're not crazy for feeling tired all the time. You're not weak for needing more rest, more space, quieter. You're adjusting to a deeper frequency, one that doesn't shout, one that doesn't perform, one that doesn't beg to be seen because it already sees itself. It's not that you hate people. You just crave what most environments can't offer: depth, resonance, presence. You're not lonely. You're in the in-between, between lives, between selves, between worlds. You're no longer who you were, and not quite who you're becoming. And this liminal space, it's sacred, it's fertile, it's where the real work begins. You stop trying to be understood by people who are still speaking a language you no longer use. You stop chasing validation from systems you've outgrown. You stop trying to explain your silence, your softness, your no, your boundaries, your peace. And you start honoring it, protecting it, living it. The irony is, once you step away, once you disappear from the game, you realize you never really belonged in it to begin with. You were always different. You were always feeling more, seeing deeper, asking questions others were too afraid to ask. You were always meant to be something else, something honest, something real. So you let go of timelines, of pressure, of should and supposed tops. You breathe into your own rhythm, and slowly, the world inside you begins to bloom, not in a loud, dramatic way, but like a forest waking up at dawn, quiet, steady, unapologetically alive. And maybe, just maybe, that's why you're here. Not to fix the broken, not to fight the illusion, but to remember who you are, to live as truth in a world addicted to falsehood, to embody a new way so fully that others feel safe enough to try it too. And if that means being invisible for a while, then so be it. You're not disappearing. You're becoming, quietly, deeply, truly. You don't come back the same. After disappearing for a while, into stillness, into silence, into solitude, something inside you rearranges, not loudly, not with fireworks, but like a forest regrowing after fire, quiet, stronger, rooted in something you didn't know you had. You no longer move through the world the way you used to. You don't rush to speak. You don't fight to be heard. You don't bend just to belong. You've tasted the kind of peace that doesn't depend on approval, and now pretending costs too much. What used to impress you doesn't land the same. The noise, the flash, the shouting for attention, it feels like static. You used to chase things. Now you wait for what's real to arrive in its own time. You used to explain yourself. Now you just hold your center and let silence speak for you. People will notice. They won't always understand it, but they'll feel it. Something about you is quieter now, not in volume, but in vibration. You don't lean forward. You don't reach so far. You stand differently, breathe differently. You listen, but you don't absorb. You observe, but you don't get pulled in. You're anchored in something internal, something that doesn't shift with trends or moods or headlines. You're less interested in being right, more interested in being aligned, less pulled to fix others, more focused on being whole yourself. You've learned that trying to change people who haven't chosen to wake up yet is like watering plastic plants. You used to think waking up meant showing others the truth. Now you understand it means embodying the truth quietly, consistently, without demand. And while the world keeps spinning in the same loops, outrage, distraction, division, you're living slower, simpler. You walk more, breathe deeper. You find joy in ordinary things. in the way sunlight lands on the wall, in the way your breath calms your chest, in the way being alone no longer feels like being empty. You realize that presence is the revolution, that stillness is subversive, that joy, real joy, is an act of defiance in a system that feeds on fear. You're no longer trying to escape the world. You're trying to bring your whole self into it, without distortion, without dilution. That's the return. And it's not flashy. It doesn't come with announcements. There's no trumpet sound. Just you, re-entering life with a softer heart and a clearer voice. You don't try to convert anyone. You just live your truth so fully that it becomes its own quiet invitation. And slowly others find you. Not the crowd, not the ones who need noise, but the ones who've also been walking through the dark, looking for a light that doesn't blind but reveals. You recognize them by their stillness, their depth, their unwillingness to pretend. You speak the same invisible language. You don't need to explain why silence matters, why boundaries are sacred, why disappearing was necessary. You both know. You've both been there. You've both returned, not to the center of the crowd, but to the edge, where the truth has space to breathe. This edge, it's where the real work begins. Quiet, slow, rooted work. Building something from scratch. Relationships based on honesty. Communities that value depth. Creativity that rises from the soul, not from strategy. Conversations that heal, not perform. The edge is where the new world begins. Not the loud one, not the perfect one, but the real one, the sustainable one. The one built by people who face themselves, walked through their own fire, and chosen truth over comfort, again and again. So if you're still in the quiet phase, still dissolving, still unbecoming, still hiding from the noise, trust it. Let it do its work. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not late, you're not lost. You're becoming. And becoming takes time. It takes silence. It takes sacred solitude. And when it's time, you'll know. You'll feel the gentle tug to return, not with the need to be seen, but with the readiness to serve, to offer what you've found, not with urgency, but with steadiness, like a candle in the window for those still in the dark. And if they're ready, they'll find you, not by your shouting, but by your light.